You flick off the light, same room, same furniture, the one you stood in 1,000 times. But now, that coat on the chair looks like a person. The corner is too deep. Something behind you feels closer. You move a little faster to the bed. You don't look back. Maybe you pull the blanket up a bit higher than you need to. Nothing in the room changed. Only the light did. So what just happened to you? Think about how strange this is. 10 seconds ago, with the light on, that room was completely safe. Boring, even. Nothing in it could hurt you. And nothing has moved, nothing has entered, nothing is actually there. The room is identical. The only thing that changed is that you can no longer see it. And yet your heart rate is up, your senses are straining, and some old part of you is absolutely certain that you are not alone. Almost every human being on Earth feels some version of this. Kids feel it intensely. Adults like to say they've grown out of it. Right up until they're alone in a dark house and a floorboard creaks, it crosses every culture and every century. So this isn't a personal weakness or a childish hang-up. It's something built deep into the standard equipment of being human. And here's the twist that makes it fascinating. You are not actually afraid of darkness. Darkness is just an absence, the absence of light. It can't hurt you. What you're really afraid of is what the darkness hides. And that fear, the one that feels so irrational at 2 a.m., turns out to be one of the most intelligent survival systems your brain ever built. So let me show you what's really happening when the lights go out. By the end, you'll understand what darkness does to your brain, why it hijacks your other senses, the ancient reason you evolved to feel this at all, why your own imagination turns shadows into monsters, why it's so much worse when you're alone or lying in bed, and why a fear that feels embarrassingly babyish is actually deeply, almost perfectly rational. Let's start with what darkness actually takes from you. Because to understand the fear, you have to understand how much your brain depends on your eyes. Humans are visual animals. We are built for daylight. An enormous chunk of your brain, far more than for any other sense, is devoted to processing what you see. Vision is your primary way of knowing what's around you, where things are, and whether anything is a threat. It's your early warning system. During the day, your brain is swimming in information. It can see the whole room at once and confirm instantly and constantly that you are safe. Now turn off the light. In an instant, you've cut off the sense your brain trusts most. You've blindfolded your early warning system. And your brain does not respond to that by relaxing. It responds the way any security system responds when its main camera suddenly goes dark. It does not assume everything is fine. It assumes the opposite. It snaps into high alert. Because here's the core principle your brain runs on. And it explains almost everything about fear in the dark. When your brain loses information about its surroundings, it does not fill that gap with calm. It fills it with threat. And there's a deep evolutionary reason it works that way. A reason written over millions of years. For almost all of human history, the dark was genuinely, lethally dangerous. Our ancestors had no electric lights, no locked doors, no way to push back the night. And the night belonged to things that could kill them. Big predators, lions, leopards, hyenas are often nocturnal hunters built to see and stalk in exactly the low light where humans go blind and clumsy. Add venomous snakes you couldn't spot, cliffs and rivers you couldn't see, and rival humans who could approach unseen, and nighttime was the most dangerous stretch of every single day. So picture two of our ancestors. One of them feels uneasy in the dark. They stay close to the fire, they don't wander off alone at night, they sleep alert and wake at strange sounds. The other one feels totally relaxed in the dark, strolls off into the black to investigate a noise, sleeps deeply and ignores the rustling. Which one is more likely to survive the night and live long enough to have children? It's the nervous one. Every time. And we are their descendants. We inherited their brains, their caution, their finely tuned alarm. The relaxed ones, on average, didn't make it. So the fear of the dark isn't a flaw that slipped through. It's a feature that was selected for, generation after generation, because the humans who had it lived. You feel that fear today for the same reason you have eyes and lungs. You inherited it from a long line of survivors who needed it. But evolution didn't just leave you cautious. It tuned your brain to make a very specific kind of mistake. And understanding that mistake is the key to the whole thing. Your threat detection system, centered on a small almond-shaped structure deep in your brain called the amygdala, is not designed to be accurate. It's designed to keep you alive. And those are not the same goal. Think of it like a smoke detector. A smoke detector that's perfectly accurate, that only ever goes off during a real, raging fire, sounds ideal, until the one time there's a slow fire it doesn't catch and you die in your sleep. So we don't build them that way. We build them to be oversensitive, to shriek at burnt toast and a steamy shower, because 100 annoying false alarms are a price worth paying to never miss the one real fire. Your brain's fear system is that smoke detector. In the dark, with the information cut off, it faces constant ambiguity, a shape, a sound, a feeling. And it follows a brutally simple rule. When in doubt, assume danger. Because consider the math your ancestors faced. If you assume that Russell in the bushes is a predator and you're wrong, you've lost nothing but a little dignity and a racing heart. But if you assume that Russell is just the wind and you're wrong, you're dead. The cost of the two mistakes is wildly unequal. So evolution wired you to make the cheap mistake over and over every night. Your fear in the dark is your brain choosing correctly to be scared 1,000 times for nothing, rather than calm the one time it matters. Now add the next ingredient, the one that supplies the actual monsters. Your imagination. Your brain is not a passive camera that simply records the world. It's a prediction machine. It is constantly building a model of what's around you and filling in the gaps, even in broad daylight. But in the light, reality keeps correcting it. You predict a person in the corner, you look, it's a coat, prediction overruled. In the dark, that correction never comes. You're left with a brain that's desperate to know what's out there, getting almost no real data, and biased toward predicting threats. So it predicts. It takes the vague shape of the chair and offers you a figure. It takes the creak of the house cooling and offers you footsteps. It takes the blank dark behind you and offers you the unshakable feeling that something is standing there. This is why the dark feels alive. Your brain is running a threat simulation with no facts to stop it, and it fills the empty canvas with the scariest thing it can imagine. The monster under the bed was never under the bed. It was assembled in real time inside your own head, out of fear and a total lack of information. And because humans are wired to detect agents, to assume that ambiguous movement and sound are caused by some living thing, your brain doesn't conjure a falling shelf. It conjures a someone. So now you can see why 3 specific situations make it so much worse. First, being alone. For your entire evolutionary history, safety came from the group. More people meant more eyes, more warning, more defense. To be alone in the dark was to be at your most vulnerable, so your brain cranks the vigilance even higher when no one else is there. The exact same dark room feels twice as threatening empty as it does with someone sleeping beside you. Second, lying down to sleep. Think about how defenseless that is. You're horizontal, still your eyes are closing. You're about to lose consciousness entirely. There is no moment in your day when you are less able to react to a threat. So right at bedtime, the moment you're most exposed, your brain often gets louder, not quieter, scanning the room one more time, flinching at every sound, reluctant to let you drop your guard. And third, childhood. Fear of the dark peaks in young kids, and it's no mystery why. Children have enormous imaginations and a still developing prefrontal cortex, the rational front part of the brain that's supposed to step in and say, "That's just a coat, go to sleep." In a child, that calming voice is barely built yet. The alarm is fully online, but the part that overrules it isn't. So the monsters feel completely real because the machinery to talk yourself down hasn't finished installing. Which finally explains why this fear feels so embarrassing to us as adults, and why it never fully goes away. As you grow up, that prefrontal cortex matures, and you gain the ability to override the alarm. You can lie in the dark and reason, "I am safe, nothing is there." And mostly, it works. But notice, you're not deleting the fear. You're overruling it. The ancient alarm still fires, right on schedule, the instant the lights go out. Your modern brain just talks over it. And in the moments when that rational voice is weak, when you're tired or alone or already on edge, the old system breaks through, and for a second you're right back at the edge of the firelight, certain that something is out there in the black. So put it all together, and the fear of the dark stops looking childish and starts looking like genius. The dark blinds the sense your brain trusts most, Robbed of information, your threat system assumes the worst, because for a million years the worst was often true. It runs an oversensitive alarm that would rather scare you 1,000 times for nothing than miss the one real predator. And your imagination, a prediction machine with no data to check it, paints a monster onto the empty dark. Because your ancestors who flinched at imaginary dangers outlived the ones who didn't flinch at real ones. So the next time the lights go out and your eyes haven't adjusted, and that old familiar dread rises up and tells you that something is waiting in the corner, you don't have to feel silly about it. There's nothing in the room. There never was. The monster was only ever in the gap between what you could see and what you could imagine. But that flinch you feel, that ancient pull to find the light and the people and the safety, that isn't weakness. It's the careful, frightened wisdom of every ancestor who survived the night so that you could be here, lying in the dark, perfectly safe, and still listening.